What would you do to improve the draft lottery system?
Changing here. McDavid, beautiful move. Front back the ball, over to Crosby. He scores! Crosby, 500! Watch this play between the legs, comes right back to him.
But man, oh man, has his kid got some hands.
The net, it looks like he's going for the old Michigan. He brings it up. Miller goes to knock it up. He shoots it in front.
Oh, what a pass!
Away, gains the zone around Kubalik. Back to Foligno. He scores! A lot of mustard on it.
Ovechkin scores! The Grade 8 Express pulls into third place all time.
This is the Pucked Up Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to another installment of the Pucked Up Podcast. If you don't know, I am Danger. With me again today is the lovely D and the ever-bald, but still funny, Christopher. I almost called you Christopher, and I was like, I won't do that.
Yeah, sit down to that.
Government name.
I stopped myself. But welcome back, and we are here again. It's still playoff season. If you didn't know, where are you, and are you listening to a hockey podcast?
Yeah.
But if you're just getting new hockey, welcome. That comment wasn't meant for you. Anywho,
Also, thanks for choosing us.
I'm a little buggy. Thanks for choosing us, right?
If you're just getting into hockey, thanks for choosing us as your source of hockey content.
Also, if you're just getting into hockey, let me know if you came from Book Talk, because apparently the amount of romance hockey novels is really spurring people to start watching
really?
the NHL.
I mean, I'm here for it.
Interesting. They're
and it may or may not be
there was
why
definitely
NHL teams are posting more thirst traps these days too.
Hey,
because of
whatever it takes to get people into hockey.
You know what?
Like, hockey is such a great sport that, like, I'm not overly upset about
We here at Pucked Up, we approve and support hockey thirst traps.
Absolutely.
I mean, Henrik Lundqvist and himself is just a walking.
Henrik Lundqvist gets prettier every year.
Whew.
Right.
He's the only good part of watching that broadcast. Sorry, I said it.
No, because I love whenever they have PK and when they have
True. Okay.
When they have
Biz. Messier on there is always
Biz
fun.
doesn't play games either. I love Biz will just like rock the open shirt too, not give it a shit.
Oh yeah. Fucking
that's fair.
The one broadcast where every time they cut back to him, he had another button undone.
Oh, PK, PK at one point by the end of the game had it all the way down.
He's just basically shirtless.
Super shit. They were just giving him shit. But it was phenomenal.
I did forget that that's on the same broadcast because they don't always have them on at the same time.
Right, yeah.
And so I'm just like, I want them to just make it Lundqvist, PK, and Biz, and maybe like one other rotating person. And then I'd be happy. To be like, this is the best broadcast.
Well, add Messier in there too, because Messier is really good.
Yeah,
you can sprinkle Chelios in there too.
I'm gonna say.
I think I would get sick of Messier if he were there all the time.
Yeah.
But he's good when we need him. Like, I remember when, because those of you that don't know, Dumba and Foligno were just singled out in the Wild with the playoffs, which we're obviously out of the playoffs now. But they were getting penalties called on both of them left and right. And even like that whole group of guys with I think it was one of the Foligno calls where like they broke it down, like they had sticks and literally broke down the movements, and it was thigh to thigh, not hip to hip or knee to knee. And like Foligno got thrown out in the first 5 minutes of the game. Less than that, I want to say. But that was like the third time that he had been singled out for either major penalties or completely ejected from games. And so I just really appreciated them breaking it down like from the player perspective, going, no, this is why this hit was the way it was. Yeah. Because there, definitely can be some bias there, whatever. I also just want to touch on how fucking thrilled I personally am that both the Avs and Boston are out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming. I wish that Dallas was out already, but I do think Seattle will be able to kick them out. Fingers crossed.
They're unfortunately Kraken are losing 2-0 right now with 12:42
it was
left in the
0-0 when
second.
we started talking too.
It was 0-0 when we started our pre-show chit chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, now the Dallas
Damn
Stars
it.
are up 2-0. But
So
I
it's
mean,
gonna be a 4-4.
we'll see what happens.
Is what I mean.
What you guys didn't
Because-
see beforehand is that it took us an hour to start this.
Exactly. Because the three of us haven't actually sat down and chatted in the longest time. So
We've all been so busy and shit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing grown-up things.
Yeah, but let's talk about that
But
fucking
not the fun grown-up
collapse
things.
by the Bruins.
Yeah, the Bruins just really... They played like the Wild normally play in the first round of the playoffs. They
so
just shit
bad.
the bed. They just shit the bed.
I mean, honestly, that cup
did not
winner
see it coming.
curse, it must be fucking real. It must be
Right?
real.
And the irony
Because
that
they
the
played
last...
like they've never seen ice before.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They played like they were an
literally-
AHL team put into the NHL and we're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck do we do now?
Yeah,
It was
exactly. That's what
wild.
I always say about the Wild is we forget we play professional hockey for a living in the
Mhm.
playoffs, and that was really what Boston did. The Avs to an extent too, but a little bit less. You know, they played a little bit better.
Well, they
That
didn't
was more
have
of an
that
even
killer
season.
season.
Yeah. Well, that was
Yeah.
also more of an even series
Yeah.
where Seattle kind of led
Right.
most of that series. Like,
Oh yeah,
it was really in
absolutely. But
Seattle's hand the entire time.
We've been talking up Seattle all year. I mean, they've done phenomenally,
They really
and
have.
I really
Improvement.
hope we get to see them advance again, because I think that that's awesome for them.
Yeah.
Being that this is what their second year, second year,
Second
Premier
season,
League.
and they just beat the defending Cup champions.
right,
which is
right,
crazy.
Which in the first round of the fucking Stanley Cup playoffs, like that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Shout
A
out
team
to
that we
them.
all expected to go kind of far.
Right,
Yeah.
Like I expected at least
yeah.
conference finals for them.
right,
But
right. So
like
Yeah.
the Bruins, like I don't know what needs to change there, but
Something's
we
gotta give.
mentioned this multiple times over the season is they just fall apart in the playoffs when it matters, and this is now how many years in a row that they just collapse? I mean,
Yeah.
with everything that happened to the 2018
Well-
Stanley Cup, and then like just on through, they blew a 3-1 lead.
yeah.
They had it under control,
yeah.
and they fell apart. And
Well,
this is
let's
not
talk about,
not taking
like,
credit
talking about
from
previous.
Yeah.
Right, right.
not
No,
taking
they
credit
had
from the
an
Panthers. The
amazing
Panthers are
season.
good, but fuck.
Yeah, but they did not have this season that Boston had.
Yeah.
Oh, correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then look at like the Penguins. The Penguins are a team I expect to see in the playoffs every year. They
The
didn't
Penguins
even touch
blew
it. Like,
that
they broke-
themselves.
Yeah,
They
Yeah.
broke one of like the longest streaks in NHL history for number of
Right.
playoff appearances. It's
Yeah.
17 consecutive playoff appearances.
right.
And they
I mean,
shot
and
the
what
bed
the
this year.
Caps were at 11 or 10 out of
Yeah.
the last 11 seasons, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like, and the Caps were a shock too to not make the playoffs. But they
I will
had
say
a
it's
tough
what we
season
needed.
this year.
Yeah, they struggled,
yeah.
and it
Well,
makes it. It's gonna light a
they
fire under them for
struggled.
next season.
We had a
Right.
ton of injuries this year.
Yeah.
Our injury list was out of control. But also, we needed a
and
coaching
having-
change, and this was the only way we were going to get it, to be quite honest with you. If we
Mm.
progressed into the Cups, Lavi was going to stick around. And I don't have a problem with Laviolette. It's just that his system wasn't working in Washington with the coaching team that
Right.
he had assembled. And so we just needed
Right.
fresh blood.
And
That's all it
my
is.
team keeps
Apparently-
getting fucked in not the good way. So
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna get to
not in
that.
a fun way. But like, and there is a rumor here in Minnesota now, Darby Hendrickson might be becoming the head coach of the Iowa team, which is
Ah.
super great for Darby. Really sad for me because I don't think they haven't decided if Evanson's gonna stay. I do like Dean Evanson. I've sang his praises all season because I love to hate the guy sometimes. But I think that he's what we need to be a more physical team.
Yeah.
But Darby as
Agreed.
our assistant coach has just been phenomenal. I love Darby when he played for us, all of that shit. But it definitely will be interesting to see if Darby leaves to go. I mean, like, I want that like promotion for him, but I don't want to see him leave our
Leave.
team.
Organization.
But
Yeah, I
he
mean,
would
there's
be
so
so
many
great at like the bringing up new players. He'd be so perfect for that and
Yeah.
getting them ready for what Evanson's stuff does. But it brought me back. My grandma and I were talking about it, and it brought me back to when we were talking about coaching, I think last show, and Andrew Brunette right now is high up on coaching position potential. And Bruno played for us for a long time too. And I'm like, well, if we could get Bruno in as assistant coach, that would be great.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see what happens here in Minnesota, in particular.
I know for Washington, it has been confirmed that there was a meeting set up with Jeff Halpern, actually, who is a former Washington Cap, former Little Cap as well, because he's from the DC, Virginia metro area. I think he grew up in like Maryland, pretty close to the border there. So he played as like one of the little tykes on the ice during the halftime things, and then later got into the Caps organization, and now has been the assistant coach for the Lightning as they've won several Stanley Cup trophies. So, having said that, he might be.
Yeah, they won 2 in a row, right?
2 in a row.
Yeah, they won back to back.
Yeah, the 2 during COVID seasons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are they real
that might
cups
be
though?
A good person
Right,
to
yeah.
bring in though,
I mean,
just because
yeah,
he
no,
is someone
absolutely.
that's familiar with like the organization and its like its ethos, but also he
Right.
clearly has been part of a winning team.
I was gonna say he's
just whether or
clearly
not
he knows
he's
how to
ready for
win
the
too.
jump
You know?
ahead.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely. That would be a great pick for you guys.
But there's also, I mean, so many other coaches that are available right now. The Rangers just fired their head coach.
Yeah.
And now it's rumored that they're looking at our boy Bruce to possibly
The Rangers
step
should have
in.
fired their fucking coach. They had a super team and they got knocked out first round.
Yeah,
I
know.
They
So they
should have
did.
fired their coach.
It was a parting of ways, as they put it, which just
Right.
means that they're like, "Hey, we're gonna
But
fire you."
Bruce,
And he's like,
Bruce
"Hey, I'm
wouldn't be
gonna
bad.
quit."
I wouldn't be mad about Bruce coming back to Minnesota either, though. I don't think he'd come as an assistant coach, though, because I don't think he's what we need right now for our team as a head coach. As much as I love Bruce,
Right.
But maybe
So we'll
he
definitely
he
be
could go to
following
Iowa too. That would be a great position for Bruce, well, that would be great better for Iowa than it would be for Bruce, I think. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens come start of next season and who the coaches are. Maybe we'll have to do a segment on the coaching changes and who the new coaches are. And
I think absolutely. I think maybe we'll. I mean,
because there'll be a
we
lot of
haven't
them. I think
confirmed it yet, but we're not really going to have much to talk about over the summer, y'all.
Right.
Except for like draft day.
Right.
Otherwise, players aren't doing anything. We're not going to be doing anything. But if there are coaching changes, maybe we'll do like a preseason wrap up of all the moves that happen. As we get ready to launch into actual games.
Before preseason
we'll probably do a live event for free agency or when that starts, or like if you guys want to see that, let us know because I'm down to do that. 100%.
Well, since we're kind of talking about all of that, let's go through like where the standings are, and then we'll get into Chris's first topic here. But so right now we have Seattle is facing Dallas. Boo Dallas. But
Boo
Seattle
Dallas.
currently does lead the series 2-1. Although it does look like, what period is it, D? Or do you still have that game?
It's the second period, and it's 3-0 Dallas.
Oh God damn it!
It's halfway through the second.
See, and here's my hard part about Dallas, right? Like Jake Ottinger, fucking phenomenal goalie from Minnesota.
Robertson, one of the best in the league at shooting goal scoring.
Robertson's great, but like being from Minnesota, like I love to support Minnesotan players, right?
Yeah,
but I'm fucking pissed at him right now.
He's so good.
He is so good, and he's
so
been
young,
playing nonstop. Yeah. Watching him, like I remember hearing about him coming up through like the high school circuit and stuff. Like just hearing the name, I didn't really know much about him. But yeah, so
he had a rough game last game though. Game 3, Seattle beat Dallas 7-2.
Yeah,
he got a shit.
That was a rough one.
Yeah,
but you can't win them all. I mean, it's like people blaming Fleury for all of the losses we had when he played. My uncle and I got into it on Saturday. I was like, shut your fucking face about Fleury. Anyway,
love it.
Vegas and the Oilers are still playing. Currently, Vegas does lead that series 2-1. That one, like, I think the Oilers personally are going to take it, but I'm okay with Vegas. Like, Vegas is a fun team to watch.
Good
play
matchup.
Hockey.
It's such a good matchup.
It's so well paired.
It's the best matchup of the second round, I think.
Absolutely. And then we have the Panthers versus Toronto, and shockingly, the Panthers are leading that series 3-0.
But I will say all of those games have been close. I mean, Florida, the first game it was 4-2. The next they only won by a point, and the most recent game it was a point in overtime.
It was an overtime,
right.
It's not like it's blowouts every week.
No, but the problem is Toronto's only scoring 2 goals a game, where Florida's scoring more than 2, and that's showing offensively which team has been able to really get hot.
Right.
And I think coming off the victory against Boston, I feel like that lit a fire under the Panthers' ass, because they're playing like they got something to prove right now. And that's a scary team to face.
Yeah,
and they have nothing to lose.
I've been pleasantly surprised with the Panthers. I'm not a huge Panther fan, I'll say. But I would rather see them take it than Toronto, because fuck Toronto.
I mean,
it's funnier now to see Toronto not.
It's 100%. I'm rooting for Panthers only for the bit of Toronto not making it to the Stanley Cup.
Just for the meme.
I mean?
Right?
It's legit for the memes at this point. I don't give a shit about Florida either, but I want to continue the legacy of the Maple Leafs not succeeding, because I think that's funny.
I think it's
it's unfortunate for their fan base, but it's funny at this point.
But I also think it's really good for the sport to have a small market team like the Panthers continuing to just push through, because they've been a top 10 team the last 3 years. Yeah, and then adding Matthew Tkachuk this year, and just seeing the growth of that team through the season has been pretty awesome to watch. So I'm excited to see how far they can really go. Yeah.
Right. Plus, with Toronto having Ryan O'Reilly now, I love to hate Ryan O'Reilly.
You do.
Hated him when he played for the Blues. I find it hilarious that he moves to Toronto just to get to the playoffs and then to lose. Panthers, so.
Danger loves to hate guys. I don't know if you know this. Danger
I love to hate guys. I love to hate guys that are assholes to my team. I'm protective of my boys. I can be critical of my boys, but I'm protective of my boys. And the Blues obviously are one of our big conference rivals, or not even conference rivals. I don't know. My brain doesn't fucking work anymore.
Drinking game for you guys.
They're one of our big rivals, regardless.
Take a drink every time Danger says love to hate.
No, don't make people die, okay?
They'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be good.
But anyway, so that makes my heart happy that I was happy when he broke his finger when he immediately went up to Toronto. I'm happy now. So anyway, lastly, we have the Carolina and New Jersey matchup. Carolina does lead that one 3-1.
Games that haven't been close.
I'm devastated. I cannot even tell you, because I'm rooting for Jersey to take it all, to go to the Stanley Cup. It's between Jersey and the Kraken, but that was one of my picks this year that I said.
That was your pick to win the Cup. Yeah, no, your pick was the Hurricanes, I believe.
I no, but I've picked both of them.
No. Have you?
The Devils are going to do surprisingly well, and the Canes were possibly going to take the Cup, but I don't want the Canes to take the Cup. It was a begrudging. They're going to do well.
Yeah. Well, what's shocking to me here, and I don't know if you guys have thought about this or not, Carolina's missing some key parts, and each victory in this round, they've won by 4 goals or more, and they've only allowed more than 1 goal in 1 fucking game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
the game where they allowed 8 goals, by the way.
But no game has been close in this round.
Well, and Pacioretty is out now. Passe is out again. That I literally just said Svechnikov.
I'm sorry. I was trying to read all this stuff too.
But now, with Teuvo Terranova, I can't ever fucking say his name, but you know who I'm talking about. Antti Ransona is now questionable, but we'll go over all of them. But it's they're losing some key players.
Look, I have a love-hate with Carolina because of the fact that they knocked us out of our back-to-back Cup tries. So obviously I hold some prejudice against that. But I went to school in Carolina and I loved it. I love North Carolina. I genuinely do enjoy the Canes. Aside from the fact that
to watch.
I personally was offended for
Yeah,
a little
oh
bit.
yeah, no, I mean
You know what I mean?
that's like me in Dallas, like
Yeah, exactly.
And then some fan of Dallas was like, "Imagine living in or coming from Minnesota." I'm like, "Motherfucker, your whole team came from Minnesota.
Legitimately,
Literally.
the
Shut the
entire
fuck
team.
up. Your franchise came from here."
You're a hockey
And
team
like
in
that was
Texas.
an-
What?
And not only did that, but you just like kept the logo and the colors, and
Yeah,
like
you
you didn't
kept
even change
everything the
shit.
same.
You just like moved everything like that.
Yeah,
I'm not for it.
but yeah,
I-
like it was so funny because that went through all of the like wild Facebook groups that I'm in and stuff, and I'm like, this dumbass doesn't even realize, and he's
This
probably a
motherfucker.
kid that didn't even like
Yeah.
the team probably moved before this guy was born, right?
Yeah, so
like
he probably didn't even know.
He had no idea.
right,
No.
but I'm like, fucking do some research. Like you
Yeah.
have not always been the Dallas Stars,
And
Yeah.
speaking of relocation, like think of it for me, I'm I've got some love for the Carolina Hurricanes because
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm from Connecticut
Hartford
and they're the
Whalers.
former Hartford Whalers.
right.
So
But they changed their
Well,
logo, and I approve of that.
they legally
Yeah.
had to because the guy who
They had
owned the
to,
Hartford
yeah.
Whalers didn't own the logo and the name.
Oh sure,
Someone owns
yeah,
that
like-
now, and it's totally not even. But yeah,
I love
like
that.
I think this is showing how terrifying the Hurricanes are right now.
oh yeah.
Like,
Well,
holy
and
shit!
so I do think that it'll end up coming to the Panthers and the Hurricanes, and I think that's going to be a really good matchup.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
I think that
That's
will.
gonna be fun.
And same
I
with
think we're going to see
like
two good conference finals. To be
oh
honest
yeah,
with you,
absolutely.
I think it's
Because
going to
honestly,
be amazing.
all 4 of these teams or all 8 of these teams, are great. You know,
Yeah.
Except
Yeah.
If I had to pick,
But-
yeah, I want it to be Panthers versus Devils and Kraken
Right.
versus Wild. That would be ideal for me. But
Well,
if it's Panthers versus
think the
Canes
Kraken
and
would have
Kraken
knocked us
versus
out.
Oilers, then
yeah,
great.
I think the Kraken would have knocked us out had we beat Dallas.
You
Yeah.
know who
Um,
wins here this postseason, regardless of who
Us.
wins or loses the cup, the fans
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
NHL win.
It's been a fun playoff like it's been a fun year, like let's be
Oh, yeah.
honest, but this playoff
I mean, there's been
season
a
in
lot of
general,
drama,
like,
y'all.
has been a lot.
Yeah, but
There
there's
has
there's
been,
a
but it's
lot
been
of
like
drama
the
every
games
year.
have been good.
Yeah.
It's just been fun to watch. Like in all honesty, like this is the first season in a long time where I've watched a lot of fucking hockey games because I hate watching hockey on TV. I hate not being able to see what I want to see on the ice. I want to see the whole ice. I want to see the
Right.
fight that's happening in the corner down behind the goalie.
I
Like
hate that. I hate when they
I
don't do the
hate
fight right
watching
away. I'm
hockey
like,
on
give me the entertainment that I paid for.
Yeah.
You know.
right, yeah.
And like this is your first time in a long time watching other teams besides the Wild too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And paying attention to the standings and stuff because I always only ever cared about what the Wild were doing against these teams. So it's been a fun year in that sense. But like, yeah, I mean, honestly, these 8 teams all played really well, minus Toronto, and they're the
Well,
new
this
fucking
round,
Penguins.
yeah.
for the playoff season this year. Instead, because the Penguins are out, it's no longer fuck the Penguins, it's fuck Toronto, or except for Toronto. But yeah, it's been exciting and it's been fun to get back into it. Because I was raising a child for 14 years, so I didn't really pay attention to hockey as much as I
gotta
would
say, I gotta continue giving props to Seattle. The reason why it's been more entertaining for me and why I've continued to watch Kraken games, even though they are on the West Coast and their games are late as shit, is because like the character that they brought in C. Bowie. I don't know if you guys have seen, like, he has a playoff beard going on that has like a
Oh
bone
my God,
growing
does
out
he?
of it. It's like a crocheted beard, and like just the way that they're getting him involved with fans, the way that they're marketing it, I think it is incredible. I think it really is going to bring in a new generation, which means that now there are more people for me to talk about hockey with. And I love that. I love that so much. I feel the same way about Gritty. Everyone laughs because I say that I would totally fuck Gritty, and I still would.
Yeah, that was the...
But he has made hockey so much more fun for that fan base and brought in so many more people who are interested.
Well, they need the fun.
They need the fun because the
Flyers suck
as well. But what that has done, though, and I cannot stress that enough, is that has brought in such a broader fan base. You have now Snoop Dogg is looking to buy the Ottawa Senators, and
As well as Ryan Reynolds.
in with Reynolds.
As well as
no,
Ryan Reynolds.
they're separate bids. They're
They're
not even the
separate
same
bids.
bid. They're separate
No,
bids.
I thought Snoop.
No.
I heard a thing where
No.
Snoop was talking about going in on it with him.
No, he's going in
Maybe
on a
that's a new
separate bid.
conversation.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
going in
like
on a
I
separate
just
bid
saw
with
that
another
like last
company.
week, but maybe I misunderstood it.
But still, two celebrities
still-
trying to bid to buy
Yeah.
a fucking team, the same.
But
team?
what I
Could you
the other
imagine
thing is,
fucking
though-
Ryan Reynolds and Snoop Dogg getting into a bidding war over the
That-
Senators? Like, come
Right.
on. But
that would never
how
have
funny would
crossed
that
my
be?
mind.
right?
But the
Think
thing
about-
is that either way, if you have two celebrities fighting over it, and you have someone like Snoop Dogg too, who is from like a generation where hockey would definitely not have been something that he would have been like, yo, play this game. It's like Method
Yeah.
Man
Right.
being a fan of lacrosse. It's
Well,
so
Method Man
it's
played
not
lacrosse
expected.
too, and now
I know,
look
but
at the
didn't know
sport
that.
in itself. You know,
But see, Method Man
Right.
helped grow the PLL by
Yeah.
releasing a song about the
Oh, yeah.
fucking PLL
And
and
it's
being
a
a part of
Right.
their advertising.
fucking
And now you're going
awesome
to have
song.
potentially either Snoop Dogg or Ryan Reynolds coming
Well-
in. They're only going to do more for the sport. And so I think
Right.
like we're seeing,
yeah,
I think we're going to see the rebirth as hockey is like it's a national sport for other people. It hasn't been for the US for
well, it's been
ever.
kind of the back marker
but-
of the big four in the U.S. Even though there's
Right.
yeah.
even though it's basically the big five because Major League Soccer is growing exponentially
Yeah,
and people don't
it's
realize
growing
it.
more in the U.S. than it
But
was before. But
Think about this.
I mean,
What's the most important thing that when you own a sports league, what's the most important thing to your sports league? Marketability.
Yeah.
What helps marketability? Bringing in celebrity endorsements. Who's
Right.
bigger
Well,
than
look at, like,
Snoop?
Chris
Not
and I
many
watch
people.
WWE all the time. Snoop is big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny's been on it. Like there's
Bad Bunny
it's
just had an
nonstop.
amazing fucking match.
He just had an
Like,
amazing match, and hosted. Well, because
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
in Puerto Rico, but
Pop
yeah, I
culture
mean,
ref-
absolutely
pop culture's
bringing
important.
celebrities in. And
Will
who
Ferrell
else?
was at every
Who-
fucking Kings game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Face painted
Well,
and
and
everything.
then you got to look at like, I mean, talking about WWE. So I don't know if Chris, you saw this, but like Edge, Christian, Trish Stratus all took -1 to the Toronto game.
I did see that.
Mm.
I did see that.
You know, and it was just super cute. So -1 is one of the wrestlers' sons, and the wrestler
Yeah.
passed away all of a sudden. Like in 2020, it was like a
Mm.
respiratory thing, but it wasn't COVID related,
Yeah, it
or
was
it was
just
a
a
heart thing or
random-
something.
it
But it was just a
random
shock.
thing.
Like he was a young guy. His son was like 9 or 10 when he died.
Oh.
But all of the wrestlers have just like flocked around this kid and adopted him as their own. So the fact that they all took him to the Toronto game. And yes, they're Toronto fans. I know. But
Well, they're all from
we'll forgive
Toronto.
them.
That's why.
Right.
That's
I'll
why.
forgive
They all have
them
their
for that
faults,
discretion.
you know?
But yeah, I thought that was really cute. But yeah, absolutely having
It's-
celebrities, but like, I mean,
And,
the
like,
fans
yeah.
go crazy when the Vikings come to the Wild games and
Right,
vice
yeah.
versa. Like, Kirill was at a Timberwolves game when they were still in the playoff series and for the NBA and got a jersey and like signed
Yeah.
a bunch of shit and whatever. Like,
Well,
it's
and
just it's
that's
really
to-
fun to see people other athletes supporting
Right.
other athletes too.
And
Yeah.
to Dee's point, these teams with their mascots are 100% like that's
Yeah.
helping in as
Yeah.
many ways.
Oh, Nordy is
as-
huge here.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like for the newer teams, for like
Yeah.
Seattle bringing in like Bowie and obviously
'cause they didn't have
Philly
a mascot
finally getting a
last year.
fucking mascot that lasted more than a week and didn't
Well,
fall on
and
the
the
ice
Wild-
right away.
I cannot tell
Right.
you who the Wild's mascot is. Like I couldn't tell you anything about.
Nordy.
I'm sorry, not the Wild. I don't know why I said
Oh.
that. The Vegas
It's
Knights.
like it's Nordy. Remember, I showed you the
Yeah.
picture of him in the woods in his
think-
boxers. His
No,
hard
I
boxers?
do.
I
I
think
do
his
know
name
that.
is
I was thinking.
Chance?
I don't know why I said it, but
Chance?
that's right. He's that
I
weird
think.
lizard guy. So the
Chance
Vegas
is the
Knights.
lizard. Yeah, we
they're-
couldn't figure out if he was a lizard or a snake at first when we did
Yeah.
the
I
NHL
believe he's a-
Smasher Pass.
Yeah.
I
He's
don't
an
think
iguana.
that
Oh,
the
gecko?
Vegas Knights have promoted their mascot
No.
as well as Vegas or as well
No.
as Seattle or Philly has
Not
done.
at all.
But what Vegas has done really well is they've brought the entertainment factor to their games. I would say
Right.
that their entertainment factor is like WWE for the fans.
It's
in
a
terms of, like, all the
presentation.
shit that they
Yeah.
do.
Right. Yeah.
It's super presentational, and so that is what draws people in. So if you're not
Yeah,
going to have
absolutely.
either a killer mascot or
yeah.
a crazy like entertainment-based fan experience,
Yeah.
you're not going to get the viewership at this point.
Right.
And that's why
Right.
we see
Yeah. Especially
the
not
Arizona
television
Coyotes having zero fucking fans.
Well, they
Right.
have a lot
'Cause
of
they
other
have
problems,
neither. But they
Right.
had
You know.
they could have worked on growing their mascots marketing during all of this, while they're in a college stadium, film their fucking mascot going to college like classes on that
Fucking
campus.
yeah.
Do something, and that would have made your fan base be like, oh, okay, yeah, you suck, but like you're kind of cute. Like how people feel about Gritty. Like, okay, yeah, we suck, but Gritty, he will fucking throw hands in the stands,
fucking
and we
Gritty
love that
was
for
in
him.
WWE. Like Gritty did WWE
Yes.
stuff when they were in Philly. Like
Exactly.
that's just it's hilarious. Like Matt and I
That's
were
the
watching that, and
point.
we're like, it's fucking Gritty. Like, and he's punching the shit out of the Miz.
And again, that
Phenomenal.
is what those teams have done well, and that is why Snoop Dogg and Ryan Reynolds are now interested in buying the only team available in the Ottawa Senators.
Right.
By the way, Chance is a Gila monster, which is a venomous lizard that is native to the southwestern United States. Apparently the only venomous lizard native to the US. So that is what the Knights
very
mascot
cool.
is.
You know what I didn't know is all of that, because they have not marketed that at all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying,
yeah. I mean,
they don't have to, because they have their fan experience that's marketed better. So
and look look at what Anaheim's done over the years. Obviously, the team itself wouldn't have existed without the movie.
Right. But they've also capitalized off of that.
They've done
and then
that. The
capitalized in other
fucking
ways.
mascot had his own TV show for a good amount of time. They've done TV. The team itself activates still, or they still have activations at Disneyland, even though they haven't been owned by the Walt Disney Company since 2006. But they still have activations.
They've made that brand loyalty.
They do a lot of shit with the Angels, and the Angels do a lot of shit with them, because the stadiums are legitimately across the highway from each other.
Yeah, you could throw a stone and hit
the Angels, because of like Angels in the outfield and stuff, were so huge in the 90s. And I mean, it's the same, cut from the same thread at that point, because they were the 90s babies, nostalgia, especially now, because that's like all of us are missing childhood.
But like, think about what does anybody know about the Sabres?
Nothing.
Other than
they didn't make it to the playoffs.
I mean, for like super hockey nerds, like people like myself who love learning about the history, I know a fair amount. But like for the casual fan, and even for the fan that's not into like that stuff, but is also hardcore into hockey, not a whole lot.
But I can
you just know that the city's
can
passionate as fuck.
But you can at least know, like, people will be like, "Oh, the Seattle Kraken, that's right." You know what I mean? Like, there's so much. The marketing is just better, and
the fucking name
NHL
is cool.
Continue to improve. It is really cool.
They named the
and they
team
did a
the
really
Kraken.
good job with the colors and the branding.
Yeah, the colors are great.
Their
the
uniforms
team,
are gorgeous.
Their uniforms
gorgeous
are
uniforms.
so beautiful.
I'm supposed to hate them because they're in my division, but I can't. Same with Vegas. I can't really hate Vegas because like the two newest teams, while they've done something their own way, the marketing that they've both put in has been fucking just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah,
I know we got off a tangent, but it was
sorry,
definitely
that
a good
was my fault.
conversation
That
to have.
tangent
Though.
was 100% my
it's
fault.
a fun conversation to have, though.
Yeah,
for sure. But Chris, do you want to talk about the draft results and the Connor Bedard watch?
Chris is like, I absolutely don't want to talk about it, and I explicitly said that I didn't want to talk about it, but I guess.
That's
but it got
absolutely
to you,
my
so now
exact
you have
words.
to talk about it.
I know. Thanks, D.
Listen,
you should make the show sheet.
I mean,
you don't like
it's
it.
responsibilities in my hands.
I already make a show sheet for another show. I don't need to do two.
To let the fans in on a little behind the scenes moment, we were trying to pick our question of the week this week, and we had one lined up, but then the draft happened, and I was like, we need to change it. And Chris was like, I don't want to. And I was like, but we need to change it. And Chris was like, well, let's call in some other people for some advice. And I was like, we need to change it. And everyone was like, okay.
Yeah. And I went, I think we need to change it.
Because they love torturing me. Okay, so I guess let's just peel the Band-Aid off. The Chicago Blackhawks won. Oh, God, I want to throw up just saying it. Chicago Blackhawks won the first overall pick in the draft lottery. They have exclusive rights to phenom Connor Bedard. The rest of your top five, because let's be real, the rest don't actually fucking matter.
No, they do matter.
They do.
They absolutely do matter.
We'll get to that portion in a second, but Anaheim Ducks moved down to 2. Oh God, we'll get to my thoughts. Columbus Blue Jackets are 3rd, 4th is the San Jose Sharks, and the number 5 pick belongs to the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, so Connor Bedard looks like he's going to be taking his talents to the Windy City as a Blackhawk.
I mean, he could say no.
He could say
He
no.
could say no.
Is he going to pull an
could say no.
Eli Manning? I don't want to play for you. Trade me.
He could say no.
He absolutely could, because and
could
off
say,
air,
like,
we
it's a
talked about this a
possibility. I'm
lot, so
across
we
my
don't have to
fingers
go too far into it. But Chicago is not the right fit for Connor.
No.
And if anybody has his best interests at heart, they will exquisitely explain that to him. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Extensively is what I meant.
There you go.
Explain that to him. I've been sick for like 2 weeks, y'all. I'm sorry.
You're good.
But like, and I think he's got a better head on his shoulders than to make that decision. And honestly, I've seen Chicago fuck up enough things that they may not want him.
We will
that's
see.
My
I mean,
hope is that they won't even go for him, and then Anaheim will still get him.
There's not a
Chris is my
chance
friend,
in hell that Chicago does not take him. There is not a chance in hell.
And then maybe
unless
he'll
this
say
kid
no.
gets a fucking DUI or stabs somebody, there's
then
no
Chicago
chance
will
in
want
hell.
him more. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me? Look at the Chicago
look at their
franchise and what they've done
That's fair.
in the last
Completely-
few years.
That's fair.
They don't care
Um,
about any of
Connor,
this.
go do
Chicago
charity
will
work.
ruin that
Go do
kid.
charity work.
They
Yeah,
will
no.
ruin that child. In my opinion. If you're a Chicago fan, I'm
agree.
sorry, but I'm not sorry. Like,
Again, I don't think that the Chicago organization has cleaned itself up enough to even deserve getting Connor Bedard. But I
Yeah.
also don't think that they're in a position where they will do right by him in
Nope.
terms of they are not ready for a rebuild. They have too much like stuff up in the air right now. I mean, Taves isn't sure if he's going to return or if that's his last game with Chicago or what the deal is.
Tave, he will not be returning to Chicago.
no,
He'll
not,
be.
they don't want
There's
him.
a chance
they
that
won't
he
re-sign
may
him.
play again somewhere else, but they are not re-signing him.
Which again is like, how are you going to do that to someone who built your fucking team? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that to
Like,
me
that's
says
been their
everything we need to
captain.
know about the Chicago organization.
He's been their captain for how many years?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Won
and
them
they're
3
just gonna
Stanley
drop
Cups.
him and treat him like utter dog shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, I
I-
shouldn't even say that. I treat my dog's shit with more respect than like. That's just not fair.
I don't, and I mean, we can get into it, but like, so who was it? J Fresh Hockey had posted a poll that said, choose the team that would actively piss you off to see Bedard end up on. There was like almost 4,000 poll responses. Chicago was 62% of that vote. 62% of people responding were like, if Bedard ends up with Chicago, I'm going to be furious.
Yeah.
Furious. Guess where he ended up? Like, it's nobody is happy about it. No fan base is happy.
This is
except
also
for Chicago's fan base.
I want to point out that this is 2 times in a row that Anaheim has missed out on the number 1 pick and gotten number 2 overall. Last time was in 2005. Off the top of your heads, can anyone tell me who got drafted number 1 overall in 2005?
Yeah, it was Crosby.
Yeah, Crosby.
And we missed out by 1 fucking pick on Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
And like, I want to point this out I'm not mad about, well, I am, but like my main anger isn't even about the fact that my team didn't get number 1 overall. Like, if I'm being honest.
Right.
No, the way the draft works is stupid. It is just stupid. But I will say, like, you guys are still going to end up with someone good. The second overall pick, or people who are projecting to be the second overall pick, is still like
Fantilli lit it up in the NCAA this year. Like,
And
he
so
with Michigan,
he killed it. So you guys are going to do just fine. But like, for example, in 2006, we got the 4th overall draft pick in Nicholas Backstrom, and he has been a producer for the Caps.
Oh yeah.
For years.
Yeah, it doesn't
Before
have to be
that,
the
it was
number
Carl
1 pick to be
Asner
great.
was the 5th overall pick. We got Carl Asner, who, I mean, that's a fucking name right there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, the people who get the first 5 picks are still going to do well. Whether or not they stay with those teams is different. I don't see Connor Bedard sticking around in Chicago. I think if he does end up having to play there, he is going to be asking for a trade at the end of his contract.
Yeah.
And he won't be looking to
If
renew
not
his
before,
contract. And someone else is going to snatch him up. And I hope for everyone's sake that he gets what he deserves in terms of pay and on a team that's going to do right by him and support him. And truthfully have a team that's like good enough to live up to his talents.
So there
Otherwise,
are
he's going to
8
burn out.
teams
He's going
too.
to flame out.
Yeah. There are 8 teams that have never won the draft lottery, and it's the Ducks, the Canucks, the Wild, the Hurricanes, the Predators, the Sharks, the Flames, and the Kraken, which the Kraken doesn't shock me. They're pretty new.
They just
But,
started.
like, I mean, the Wild, we've been around for 23 years, damn near. Like, that's
When
shocking
did Vegas
to
get
me.
the first pick?
I don't know.
Let me see.
I can look that up next.
Did they get the first pick in 2017?
They may have. Because the Sabres got it in 2021. I just see that from this, but...
Or 2015.
But the Kraken got second round in 2021. Like,
they have never.
we haven't even
Vegas
ever
had
gotten the second
first
round
overall.
pick.
The highest that Vegas has had is the 6th overall pick. So they also have not gotten the first overall. With their 6th overall was Cody Glass, by the way.
So then this is wrong. But that, okay.
Unless they had traded away for it, and so technically they did win it,
yeah.
but they didn't actually take it. I don't know. I just know in terms of what they actually picked.
That's true.
Right.
I didn't consider like if the Wild had ever gotten it but traded it away. I don't think we ever have. I don't think the Wild would do that. But
I know in
we did love trading away draft picks this year. So
yeah, in 2017, Vegas got 3 first-round picks. So that's why I'm thinking maybe they traded for it.
Sure,
because they got 6th, 13th, and 15th. So, which one of those being Nick Suzuki was 13th overall.
Right.
And guess where he plays?
Well. Yep.
Not with Vegas.
I know.
No.
They traded him for Max Pacioretty, and that was stupid. Like, Pacioretty was awesome with them.
Where, though?
He went to Montreal.
Really likes Suzuki. Montreal, okay.
Montreal.
I was going to say Matt likes Nick Suzuki.
I like Nick Suzuki for the most part. Yeah, actually, a lot of their draft picks are not still with Vegas, by the way.
Yeah, because they traded them all away.
They traded a lot of their people away. Yep.
Which is ridiculous.
But yeah, so super fucking... It's disappointing, and... So that kind of leads into the question of the week. Which is, how would you improve the draft lottery system? Chris, why don't you start us off?
Take it away, Chris. Take it away.
I want you guys to do something for me. Explain to me the benefits of the draft lottery.
There's none. I would get rid of it altogether.
What does it do?
Nothing, but give people that don't deserve the first pick.
I understand it in part. They wanted a way to move it around so that every year new people get to experience it without having to be the worst in the league to experience that.
It's because the dumbest shit on the planet.
Tanking.
Dumbest fucking shit on the planet.
Give them a top 5 pick. Don't give them the number 1 pick. Give them the second pick.
Here's my first problem with it. First of all, a team moved up 2 fucking spots. A team that had a better record and arguably played better all season than the bottom 2 teams in Anaheim and Columbus. Guess where Columbus gets to pick now? Instead of number 2, they pick number 3. Like, and then this whole nonsense with, if the 10 through 16 teams end up getting number 1 overall, it ends up going back to Anaheim. What the fuck is the point of that? What is the point of that rule?
Also, have you actually seen how they pick it? It is the most convoluted mess. They spend an entire day drawing balls, and then they aggregate the numbers, and then they're all assigned. If it's ball 5, 14, 11, and 12, then it goes to Washington. But if it's 5, 14, 13, and 9, it goes to Seattle. And it's like, how did this come about? It really is so fucking random. I don't mind a lottery. I just think, well, actually, at that point, it wouldn't even be a lottery, because you have to get rid of the randomness of it. You really just do.
Yeah, because there's no way that like a team that does really well, like granted this year it was like relatively decent. Now let me finish before you jump down my throat on that, because like it's the 3rd worst team in the league happened to get first pick. I'm pissed that it's Chicago, but that's the way this year worked. That's not the way it works every year. There are years that like teams that do fairly well end up with the first pick, and that's not fucking fair.
I mean, Chris was going to be even more pissed because the Caps were literally 1 number away from getting first overall.
Yeah.
Because of the way that the balls work out and how they fall. And that would have been, I mean, lovely for me personally. But that would have been shitty because we were in a wild card contention for a while
Same
before
as the Wild
eliminating
would've gotten it.
ourselves.
Like, yeah.
So if we went from being, like middle of the pack in the league, like top middle even, I would argue, to going first overall, it would have been fucking unfair.
Here's
what if they
sense.
took the worst 10 teams and made a lottery out of the worst 10 teams or something? You know what I mean? Like or 5 teams because there's only 32. But
the whole point of this is there's only one argument people can make that the draft lottery works and it helps to eliminate tanking. When I have to look at you and ask, really, does it really do that, or do teams still find a way to fucking tank?
Here's my hot take. Who fucking cares? To be honest, who cares? Because no team in their right fucking mind in October, in September is going, we're going to lose every game of the season.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is that they're going to get into January and go, holy shit, we already have a sucky ass season. Now our top 3 people are injured. We're done for the season. Let's not play well. And let's hope that we can get a good pick in the lottery. Like, let's hope that in the draft, we're well positioned. They're only going to start taking it the second half of the season, but you're still going to have 16 teams that are going to be competing fiercely for the Stanley Cup and for the right to hoist it because it actually fucking means something.
Yeah.
So you're not like, I think tanking is this big overblown thing and it doesn't fucking need to be. Some people should tank.
Yeah.
Bottom line, Anaheim should have been tanking more than they did.
And they weren't tanking this year. They just sucked. So here's the question for you guys: What's the number one sports league in the United States right now?
I mean,
I think
that's really tough.
Yeah,
it's the NFL. There's
money-wise.
Yeah, I was gonna say NFL. Well, NFL. I think NFL draws in the most fans, but it's also the shortest season.
Do you know who doesn't have a draft lottery?
The NFL.
Yeah, but not even remotely. MLB is actually 4th right now out of all the main 4 sports.
Is it?
But yeah,
does the NFL do the one I dislike the most personally? But
but it's also there.
So like the NFL, do they do a draft lottery?
No.
Goes on rankings. It goes on like season standings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a league that had $18 billion in revenue last year, which if we're keeping track at home, is more than double what the NHL made last year. So your ticket to success, fucking copy some of the shit that the NFL is doing.
Right. Yeah,
because
the draft lottery
fucking teams over.
It either needs to be fixed or it needs to go away.
And this isn't the first time. This isn't even the first time in the last 10 years that we've had
every year.
2015 comes to mind.
Year.
2015 comes to mind. The worst team in the NHL in 2015 was the Buffalo Sabres. Guess what they picked? Second. Because a team that was like fifth to last got the number 1 overall pick. Do you know who the number 1 overall pick was that year? Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
To a team that really could have used him, ended up getting the shit end of the stick. I mean, they got Jack Eichel, and the problem was Jack Eichel wasn't the right fit for them. And he's a monster. He's a fantastic player,
great.
But imagine the conversations we'd be having right now is if the worst team in the league actually got the number 1 pick like they earned. We'd be talking about Connor McDavid, the Sabre, and how that team may have won a couple Stanley Cups by now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing?
Or even Jack Eichel.
What the fuck are we doing?
But even Jack Eichel with potentially Edmonton at that point, that could have been a better fit for him, and we wouldn't have had all of that drama of him being like, I'm not fucking playing for you, trade me.
Yeah.
And like demanding to be sat out of games. Like that was a whole lot of drama for that
And there was a lot of other issues that stem from the Buffalo Sabres front office that caused a lot of that problems.
Absolutely.
With the way they dealt with his injuries.
If the NHL hadn't decided to play God in that situation, you could have had the right players to the right teams and not had any of that. Yeah. But now we're seeing a situation where, again, Chicago is going to get Bedard, and maybe maybe we're all wrong, and I'd love to be fucking wrong. I just rarely am.
I would too. I would love to see him thrive. I don't. I think they're going to run that child into the ground. And I say child loosely.
He's 18.
To me, he's a kid. I'm fucking 36 years old. Like, he can be my kid, right?
He is not even out of his teenage years. He's a child.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know sometimes people get feisty about that stuff. So I wanted to put that disclaimer. Anybody younger than me, significantly at least, is a child to me, okay? Especially if you're young enough to be my kid.
And
so
guess who else
21
is
and younger.
considering getting rid of the fucking draft lottery? The NBA. And you know how many people watch the NBA? A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
And they
Oh yeah, there's a
make
ton. There's a ton.
millions.
The second most
Um,
popular
Millions.
sport in this country is fucking
Which is
basketball.
shocking. Like, to me, basketball is fun. The NFL is the only professional sport I've never seen live. I've seen college games, but I've never been to an actual NFL game. He by
games are
far,
fun.
obviously, is the most exciting to me personally. But I've been to a lot of baseball games. My ex-husband was a big baseball fan. I like baseball. But yeah,
I just can't do basketball. The squeaking of the shoes on the floor,
yeah,
it
me
triggers
too,
something
right?
in me.
It's so loud and it's
I
echoey,
couldn't
and
do
that's
it.
my
I
problem with my
can't be in a
migraines.
stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As someone who played
It's too
basketball,
echoey.
you kind of tune it out like after a long time.
As a
but if
player,
it's not something
Right,
that
as
you
a
were
player,
around,
yes, but as a
even
fan,
so for
and when
me,
that
I don't
trigger-
even notice it. But like
Yeah.
for people
It's a
who
trigger.
weren't
It's a migraine
always
trigger,
around
though.
it, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a thing that a lot of people say,
It's
and I'm
just
like,
it's the
they're
pitch
like, how
of
does it
the
not bother you?
squeakiness of the shoes.
Yeah, that
The
it hits
basketball
you.
players are great people. But like, they're some of the nicest
Not all of
guys
them.
out there. Not all of them, but some of them are. Like
Yeah.
some
Every
of them are
profession has its
legit
assholes.
nice, great people to hang out with or like be
just,
around.
like-
You know.
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
NHL
like
should get it. Honestly, like that is the only solution.
And again, I want to point this out. I'm not saying all of this because my team didn't win. You can
No.
talk to anyone who's been talking to me for a long time about it, and I've been saying that they need to get rid of it. It's just this time,
they
ironically,
absolutely need
my
to.
team is one of them that got fucked over.
But even then, like anyone who's followed our podcast since the beginning knows that at least I am not going to be like, yeah, no, that sucks. I'm going to say that it's the worst thing ever because Chris is upset about it. Like,
Right,
if I don't think
no,
it's actually
no.
that big of a deal, I'm just going to say I don't
also-
think it's that big of a
If we
deal.
I also
disagree with
really
Chris,
haven't
we
been
let him
upset.
know. Like,
I really haven't been upset more than like once
Right.
during
Yeah.
this entire
Yeah.
season. But this just triggered something in me that I've been bitching about for years, and I'm tired of seeing.
Yeah.
Columbus got fucked over too.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and again, I was just saying that to validate that, like, you're not coming up with this out of nowhere, that you're not
Yeah.
the only one
Right.
that's upset
Yeah,
about it.
no.
Like, we're also upset, and it's not because we're your friend, because,
I'm
if
yeah.
we thought you were in the wrong, we would just tell you that, like, you're just a little
yeah.
butthurt for no
I'm
reason. But
I'm
it's
just
not the
tired
case.
of fucking teams and fan bases getting screwed over
Yep.
because
Yeah.
the NHL
Yeah, I
decided,
am too.
oh, well, this is going to
Well-
help people tanking. No, it's not. Fuck
And I'm
you.
also
Fuck you.
tired of
Come
like
on.
the way it's done. Like, it's so confusing needlessly.
Yeah.
People are doing all of this goddamn math in the background to be like, well, yesterday we had a 6.9% chance, but now actually because of the way that the numbers were drawn, we've actually jumped to a 7.4% chance, and that's like, why?
Right. Yeah.
I should
anyone
just know that
understand-
as the 13th team in the league, I'm getting the 13th fucking pick. 13th from
Literally.
the bottom, I mean. Like,
Two
that's as
teams.
easy
Right.
as it needs to be.
Yeah.
2 teams moved up. That was it. One of them moved
Yeah.
up a fucking spot. Like, what are we doing?
Minus what you've traded
Come
away or whatever, like,
Right.
because that changes everything. Like, I fucking couldn't keep track of how many picks the Wild traded away this year.
Well,
But
and it would
that's-
also
It is
be so
for
much
many
easier to
years
track
to
that
come,
too.
but-
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. That's why they're like a conditional pick, is because they don't know if
Right.
they're gonna fucking get it. Like,
Right.
they don't know
Yeah.
when they're gonna get some of this shit.
Right.
And
Yeah.
also, tanking,
Yeah.
guess what? Can improve a team
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
just needed
If
one
you're
little
halfway
thing.
through a season
one
and you
little
ain't doing
thing.
shit,
Which should be what we
fucking take
want.
it. Like, whatever.
By the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we should want teams to improve because we shouldn't want like the same teams to have won 13 Stanley Cups. We shouldn't
Right.
want the same teams to be the conference finals every
Yeah.
fucking year.
Yeah, tanking
Would
is not that
I
big of a
love it
deal.
as a
People need to
Caps
get the
fan?
fuck over themselves.
Yeah.
Would I
Yeah.
love to every year be the winner of the Stanley Cup and to every year be in the conference finals as a Caps fan?
Mhm.
Yes.
Right.
Would I be upset? Am I upset right now with the conference finals that we're going to end up with? No, because it's going to be good fucking hocky at the end of
Oh,
the
it's gonna
day.
be
Right.
so
That's
good.
what makes it
Players are
exciting. We have
incredible.
teams that haven't been in the playoffs in a long
Yeah.
time. For a lot of them. Not all of
Right.
them, but a lot of them.
If Toronto
But look at, like,
somehow
3
manages to rise from the dead and make it into the conference final, that'll be their first one. This is their first second round in fucking 20 years. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Okay.
All
if
they
they
maybe I should
need
stop
miraculously
picking on
pull that
Toronto
off.
a little bit, but
But, like, imagine if they had a Connor Bedard next year.
right.
Maybe they would get past the second fucking round.
No,
And
because
we
they
should
have
want that. As much as I was shitting on them earlier, like, I do want
Look at
them
what
to
the
eventually
Wild
get a
could do,
cup.
though. Like,
Yeah,
honestly, look
whatever.
at what the Wild could do with a higher draft pick.
let's
We have a good fucking team, but we've gotten
Yeah.
shit draft picks and can't make anything with anything. Minus, like, we have a couple of great people in development right now, but, like, overall, until those guys are ready to come up, minus Faber, who just kind of skipped all of the development stuff and came straight from the university.
Like, let's be real about fucking Toronto. I don't think Connor Bedard's going to help because they have Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner.
I know.
Right.
And John Tavares, and they're still down 3 games
and now with Ryan O'Reilly. Like, Ryan O'Reilly is a great player in his own right.
He's
right?
been,
I don't like the dude.
Producing.
He's a great fucking player.
But you have the guy who won the fucking Hart Trophy last year, and
I've said it a million times too. One person is not going to carry a team. Like, it's not.
Oh God, no.
But what it
the
could
right
do is it could be the right combo of people in the room to change things. Because sometimes really all it is a mesh. Exactly.
Right. And that's what, like, the Wild all season have talked about. And, like, the guys that come and play here for a short time, Delorier is one. He talked about how great of a locker room team the Wild are. Like, he wanted to stay, but we couldn't pay him enough. We might lose Dumba for the same reason, because we can't pay him enough, because we're still fucking paying for 2 players that don't play for us anymore.
Oh, Suter
and Parisi. We paid for them for another 2 years.
I mean,
oh my God.
Rick DiPietro's still getting fucking checks from the Islanders, and he will be until 2028.
That's fucking crazy.
Jesus
and he hasn't played there in forever. Yeah, they fucked up.
Yeah, they majorly fucked up. But, like, honestly, even those 2 contract buyouts fucked our team up because our cap space is nothing. So we can't keep the guys that we're trying to keep. Although,
That's
who's staying with us, D? You know who's staying? Mojo's staying.
I love that. I love him.
I'm so excited that he signed on for another 2 years.
Jojo is such
Johansson
a sweetheart.
Is phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will root for him always.
I unfortunately think we're going to lose Sundqvist, Nyquist, and Klingberg. I hope we can keep Nyquist because I was really impressed with how much he did with our team while he was still hurt. But, like, would I choose Nyquist over Dumba? At this point, no. Dumba does a lot for the community, and that's the cool thing. He's got a foundation he started here. He was crying in the post interviews and stuff because he might have to leave.
You know what?
And he's like, honestly, it's right.
I love watching post interviews because, like, so much shit comes out. Like, recently, Orlov did his postseason interview for the Bruins after having gotten kicked out, and he was like, if Washington were to call me, I wouldn't say no. Like, I still kind of want to go back there. I love them. I love that organization. I love the city. Right. So if that's an option on the table, like, I would be really happy to take it.
Also,
and I love seeing that stuff because you can tell, like, with Dumba, like, you can tell that it's not just
the passion is there.
Exactly. It's the fact that they love their team and they love their community
they love the
and
guys,
they love all of that. And I love
having
seeing
Spurgeon,
that. And you don't get to see it as much as you do in end of the season interviews.
You guys, my little Spurgeon bobblehead before I finally I had to super glue his stick on because the stick kept coming off.
Oh no.
Danger might know this, but you want to know a fun fact about Matt Dumba?
What?
He is the first player in the history of the NHL of Filipino descent.
Yeah, he's the first Filipino player in the NHL.
First Filipino
Which
player
I actually did not know he was Filipino until this year. I thought he was just mixed. Like, I knew he was mixed,
Also made his NHL debut against the Anaheim Ducks.
Oh, look at
that. But Dumba is a great player in his own right. Like, he's a physical player. He has his bad days, like everybody does. He's not necessarily the most consistent. Like, Kirill is far more consistently good than Dumba is. But Dumba for morale is so important, I think. And so I'll be really sad if we lose him this year.
Well, we're going to talk about Dumba in a second because he has a nomination.
I didn't know that. That makes me so excited.
Yeah,
bottom line,
to
answer the big question, bottom line, get rid of the fucking draft lottery. Like, no fix, no fucking.
Or
we're gonna implement this.
To the bottom of the barrel players. You know what I mean?
Gone.
Or teams.
Needs to disappear.
Yeah.
You want to get popular like the NFL? Do some of the shit the NFL is doing.
Because
not all of it, though. Don't excuse
making...
like the.
Hence why I said some.
Right.
Player.
Some.
Yeah.
Right.
Do some of the shit they're doing.
Right.
Keynote,
but
not all of it.
Not all of it. Yeah.
Exactly. But, like, there's a lot more that the NHL can do. And I think that they need to make the changes now or they're going to lose a lot of these new fans that they're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's just the fact of the matter.
To be honest, they're going to lose them because it's so fucking confusing. Like, yes, it's pissing us off because we're invested in this. But if you're a new fan who's like, oh man, I want to get ready for draft day because they're used to the NFL and how the NFL, like, they're doing all of the calls. You got to see that wonderful video recently of the dad who got to call up his son and was like, hey, you want to come to work with me on Tuesday? Like, you're in. And then he's like crying and all of his coaching buddies are like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if the NHL needs to start doing some of that. But the thing about the NFL draft, if it's fucking clear whose turn it is, and they advertise it in such a way, it's like, you know, when the trades are happening and why this person's getting on the phone next and all that. It's so confusing in the NHL because of the draft lottery. And
as
so people are like, I'm out.
As a
I
fan
can't
of a team who like in the NFL who consistently got number 1 picks recently, if it weren't for the fact that 3 years ago now that we drafted Trevor Lawrence at number 1 overall as our quarterback, Jacksonville would not have made the playoffs past season. They would not have turned everything around and made the playoffs. And another team, this is the same situation as the Panthers, a small market team making moves, like the Jaguars almost beat the fucking Chiefs who went on to go win the fucking Super Bowl. Like, if that's the type of parity we were able to have in the NHL, we would have teams be even more competitive than they are now. So there's your fix.
Yep.
You know,
absolutely.
Agreed. There's your fix.
Absolutely.
NBA, do the same shit.
What do you say we move into some happier news?
Yes, please.
And we talk about some award
those nominations. Yes.
All right. So first off, we're going to talk about the James Norris Memorial Trophy, who goes that is awarded to the league's best defenseman of the season. There is a name on here that will not shock anyone in Erik Karlsson, who's with the Sharks. He had an incredible season, broke several fucking records. Amazing.
Really did.
Also joining that list of nominees, which by the way, the nominations for all these awards started rolling out Tuesday, May 2nd, and will continue through Friday, May 12th. So as of right now, there are still missing awards, and I'll let you know which ones those are. But we're going to talk about the ones that we have fully in. So Norris, it's for Adam Fox from the Rangers, Erik Karlsson for the Sharks, and Cale Makar for the Avalanche. Those are the 3 finalists there. I should note that all 3 have previously won the Norris. Cale Makar most recently in 2022, Adam Fox in 2021, and Karlsson twice in 2012 and 2015. So that'll be interesting to see how that one shakes out. Next, we have the Calder Memorial Trophy, which is for the best rookie of the season. We have some names that I appreciate on the list. We have Matty Beniers, who's a forward for the Seattle Kraken.
Love Matty Beniers.
Love Beniers.
Love Matty.
We have Owen Power, a defenseman for the Sabres, and Stuart Skinner, goalie for the Oilers.
Oh yeah, Skinner. Skinner had a great season too.
Skinner got paid too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was a rookie.
Yeah, he is.
I feel like he's been around a while. But he plays like he's been around a while. Maybe
that's especially how good he's been this season. Yeah, you wouldn't think he's a fucking
goalie in particular. You normally see the
plus with his mustache, you wouldn't think he's a rookie either. He looks.
That's true. That is very
sweet ass mustache.
Yeah, absolutely. I should note that Red Wings defenseman Moritz Seider won the Calder in 2022.
Which is bullshit because fucking Zegras should have won the Calder last year.
The Hurricanes tonight scored 4 goals in 5 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Over the Devils. By the way, sorry, I just saw that pop up on my news, top of the news list when I could just search something.
Next up, we have the Frank J. Selke Trophy, which is awarded to the forward who demonstrates the most skill in the defensive component of the game. So a defensive forward, basically. Again, names we're all familiar with in Patrice Bergeron, forward for the Bruins, Nico Hischier for the Devils, and Mitch Marner for the Maple Leafs. Patrice won the Selke in 2022. A win in 2023 would be his 6th career Selke. Mitch Marner and Nico Hischier have never won the award before. For that reason, I hope one of them win it. As much as Bergeron, this is probably his last season.
Yeah, that was kind of why I was like, I'd like to see Bergie win it. Go out with the fucking Selke.
But at the same time, like
but
you,
it's
I
nice
mean,
to see
Nico
somebody that's
Heishier
never
has
won it
been
before.
Heischer's been on
incredible.
fire. And
so
Mitch
he
Marner's
deserves
fucking
it.
Mitch Marner, you know?
Right.
Exactly. So I'd love to see someone who hasn't won it win it, but at the same time, if Patrice wins it, I'm also totally cool with that. He has done incredible things for the Bruins,
Yeah.
and if this is his
In the
last
city of
season, it would be
Boston,
nice to end on a high
honestly.
note.
Yeah.
Yep. Next up is the Lady Bing Memorial Trophy, which I am laughing at, and I'll explain why in a second. This award goes to the
Shenanigans
player
bomb.
adjudged to have exhibited the best type of sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with a high standard of playing ability.
God. Oh,
So
God.
the nominees for this are Anne Skopitar, forward for the Kings, Braden Point, forward for the Lightning, and Jack
Ryan
Hughes,
Reeves.
forward
I'm
for
just
the
kidding.
Devil, who will now not be getting the trophy because he just got into a massive fight the other day during this game. He may have eliminated himself from the
Honestly, yeah.
trophy.
I feel
Can't
like
blame him.
I feel like
That's why it's funny.
the name that least surprises me is Anshay Kopitar. Like,
Yeah.
Kopi has been such a staple of like sportsmanship and talent throughout the league, and he's helped LA to so many great games.
But you know, Jack Hughes doesn't surprise me either.
No.
Because he has really grown in his talent this season, and he also doesn't really fight all that often, if ever. Like, this was probably his first fight ever, and he had like this big grin on his face afterwards.
It was great.
With his broken tooth. It was so cute.
Yeah, it was great.
So a win in 2023 would be the second, or would give, Kopitar his second win, previously winning in 2016. Jack Hughes and Braden Point would obviously be first-time winners. The forward who won it last season was Kyle Connor of the Jets in 2022. Next, we have the Jack Adams Award, which is the award for the head coach who has contributed the most to his team's success. We have Dave Haxtell with the Kraken, Jim Montgomery with the Bruins, and Lindy Ruff with the Devils. Previously, the Flames coach Daryl Sutter won the award in 2022. We were just talking about Sutter. Now that's in my head.
Yeah.
I mean, Suter. Fuck you, Ryan Suter. Go fuck yourself.
So I really want Haxtell to win it because I think he has done amazing things for the Kraken. The fact that they're this far into the playoffs,
absolutely,
I think is really down to the coaching in a lot of ways.
I'd be okay with Lindy winning it too, though.
I know you gotta love Lindy Ruff, man. That guy's been around forever.
Absolutely.
I would say definitely one of those two being
Ron
the
Haxtell's been he's been
the
great.
best fucking
Haxtell's been
record
great
in the league and then got knocked out.
And Jim Montgomery is great too. So I mean, all good options. Next up, we have the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy, which is awarded to the player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. We have on this list Clayton Keller, a forward for the Coyotes, Alex Stalock, a goalie for the Blackhawks, and the one that I hope wins it, Chris Letang, defensiveman for the Penguins.
I don't think there's a chance for anyone else at this point.
No,
if anyone else wins it, it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, this man came back from the second
but all
stroke
three are great
of his
choices
life.
on that one. Like,
and then his dad died. Like, come on.
Yeah, and then his dad died.
Yeah,
but he was back on the ice a week and a half after he had a fucking stroke. Like,
yeah.
So Chris Letang is built to some different shit, man.
Right?
Oh, 100%.
What
the player that won it
drugs
last
do you
year
take
was
and I
Carey
have some?
Price of the Canadiens.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I don't think Carey's ever going to play again.
Unfortunately, I don't know.
And it breaks
Because
my
he's
heart
the one that had both
Carey
hip
Price.
and knee surgeries, I think, right?
Yeah, and it's been going downhill. And again, as much as I love Carey Price, I think we've seen the last of him playing.
Yeah. So next up, the next to be announced will be the Ted Lindsay Award. Those finalists will be announced on Wednesday, the 10th. It is named after former Hall of Famer. He is still a Hall of Famer. Sorry,
he is still
after Hall of Famer Ted Lindsay.
So he's out.
He's out. It was formerly the Lester B. Pearson Award, and that's where I got the former from. I was reading ahead. It's given to the NHL's most outstanding player, as voted on by their peers. So last year, Connor McDavid won the Ted Lindsay in 2022. Then on Thursday, we'll have the announcement for the Vizina Trophy winners. Everyone knows that this is for the league's best goaltender. Last year, Igor Shesterkin for the Rangers won it.
If anyone but fucking Linus Ullmark wins the Vezina this year, I will riot.
He should. Yeah. And then lastly, we have the Hart Memorial Trophy, which is awarded to the player deemed most valuable to his team. Those will be announced on Friday.
Do we need finalists?
David won that one as well.
Do we need finalists for that? Connor
Well,
McDavid
we'll
had
see.
153 points this season. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, but I don't want him to win 2 years in a row. Like,
The
come
guy
on.
had one of the
Give us
best
somebody
seasons
else.
of all time.
But that's not the only way you can be
So-
valuable.
Right.
To be
Right.
fair.
No,
Yeah,
not at all. Not at
I
all.
don't
Because
see it
a lot of
going
people can
anywhere
turn
else.
around and say that McDavid's a puck hog and only out for
Yeah.
scoring points for himself. Not saying that that's my opinion. I don't
Yeah.
think he's like that,
Right.
but
He had-
people can say that.
Which would
And
be
that
funny
doesn't
because
make
he's
him
had more
a
assists
valuable
than
team
goals
player.
this year.
Right. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, that's
No, I know
just
what you're saying.
the
I
argument
just-
people
I-
are gonna
yeah.
have.
I think it's
Um,
ridiculous to think that anyone else is going to win that.
Does
but
anyone
him.
have more assists than him, though?
No.
Or is he leading in assists as well
He's
as
he
leading in
probably
everything.
is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and McDavid, I mean, obviously, especially with Draisaitl, like those two are
Draisaitl, Nugent
it's like
Hopkins,
Backstrom
Evander
and
Kane, like-
Ovi. Like,
Yeah.
That first line is fucking
those
loaded.
two are two peas in a pod. As much as I would love to say it's like Kirill and Zuccarello, they're not quite at that level yet, but maybe in the next couple of
In
years.
time. Yeah.
And
then
Yeah, he had-
lastly, this one is a little bit longer, so you'll have to bear with me.
okay.
But lastly, we have the nominees for the King Clancy Trophy. And this is awarded to the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and has made a noteworthy humanitarian contribution in his community. So for this, teams from every team gets to contribute a finalist. Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there, someone will be awarded. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do it in a specific way. And you'll
Okay.
see why at the end.
Okay.
So, starting with the Anaheim Ducks, we have Kevin Shattenkirk.
Okay.
We have from the Coyotes, Travis Boyd. From the Bruins, Patrice Bergeron. From the Sabres, Alex Tuck. From the Flames, Michael Backlund. From the Canes, Jordan Stahl, which is surprising. From the
Yeah.
Blackhawks, Connor Murphy. From the Avalanche, Devin Taves. From the Blue Jackets,
Is
Zach
that-
Werenski. From the Dallas Stars, Jason Robertson. From the
Yeah.
Red Wings, Dylan Larkin. From the Oilers, Darnell Nurse. From the Panthers, Alexander Barkov. From the LA Kings, Mikey Anderson. From the Canadiens, Jordan Harris. From the Predators, Drew Saros. From the Devils, Jack Hughes. From the Islanders, Anders Lee. From the Rangers, Jacob Trouba. From the Sens, we have Brady Tkachuk. From the Flyers, we have Scott Lofton. From the Penguins, we have Evgeny Malkin. From the Sharks, Luke Kunin. From the Kraken, Chris Dreiger. From the Blues, Braden Shen. From the Lightning, Victor Hedman. From the Maple Leafs, Morgan Riley. From the Canucks, Elias Pettersson. From the Golden Knights, Riley Smith. From the Jets, Blake Wheeler. And now for the two names that are going to piss a lot of people off. From Minnesota, we have Matt Dumba. And
Love
from the
Dumba, though.
Washington Capitals, Tom Wilson is your King Clancy Memorial Trophy nominee.
Okay, that's fair. I see
That
why
one's
you
interesting.
looped Dumba in with Wilson.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, honestly,
So,
y'all,
and I'll tell you
love or
why-
hate Dumba, like
Yeah.
he really has done so much for the community and
Yeah.
getting like hockey rinks out there for the underprivileged kids in like Minneapolis, St. Paul, like all over Minnesota, but in particular Minneapolis, and giving kids a chance to like have that outlet, not only for the physical side, but for the emotional and like the team aspect. So I definitely see why he's up for that.
And I can tell you why Wilson
he
is.
pissed a lot of
And
people off. Yeah.
People are going to be surprised to learn this about Wilson because it's not talked about a lot. But he leads a charity called 43 Friends because his number is 43.
Right.
And it partners with Make-A-Wish to bring children to Capitals games. He donates 4
yeah.
tickets per game across 20 games during the Capitals season. And then
Yeah.
following each game, he spends times with the entire family in the Capitals locker room.
Nice.
He also is a contributor to Elliot in the Morning, So Kids Can. Elliot in the Morning is our one of our big radio station morning news shows.
Sure.
Elliot is massive. But that actually raises funds for a playtime project for homeless children. So he is helping homeless kids. He also works consistently with the Wolf Trap Adoption Foundation. So he's constantly doing events for adoption and helping animals to get adopted because he loves dogs and cats and everything else.
Yeah.
He does a lot in the off season, but those are the two biggest communities that he works with,
Yeah.
in addition to doing a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Sorry, I just saw something. in our
What
show
the
chat
fuck?
that made me fucking laugh.
I'm sorry to
Um,
do that to you.
That is so
I
funny.
can't help but seriously. Like, she's 19 and I'm 43. I just find her beautiful. Should I
I
date her
can't.
and get engaged? The fuck?
Yeah,
Dude, the
no.
fucking internet's so wild.
The internet is wild. The internet is a wild place to be. But so for all of the shit that, Wilson has supposedly done on ice, and some of it he has, I'm not going to disagree on those moments.
So I don't think many of it's
He does an
supposed.
incredible. Well, no, some of it is supposed. Some of it
Yeah.
is shit he shouldn't be.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah,
But
there's
some of
some
it is
shit
stuff
that
he has
did.
done. There is shit that he did, and I will
Uh,
always be
yeah.
upfront about that. But
That
again,
does
he does a shit ton of stuff off of the ice, and I think that
Yeah.
people overlook that because of his on-ice personality, the same way
Right.
people overlook Dumba
Yeah.
for what he
Because
does behind the
Dumba,
scenes for Minnesota.
they do the similar thing with the games. It's the Matt and Max, because it's Matt Zuccarello and Matt
Mhm.
Dumba do like a similar thing where they give away sweet tickets and do special things with the kids
Yeah.
and whatever. That I forgot all about until you happened to say that. But yeah, it's a very similar setup to what the Caps have going on there. And I just love that it's Matt and Max, because my kid's name is Matt. Obviously,
Yeah.
I like the name.
That's just one of the things. Like, again, Danger and I talk a lot about how our teams have a huge community impact.
Yeah.
Garnet Hathaway, when he was on the Washington Caps, and he did bring it over to the Bruins as well, as a program called Hathaway's Heroes, which connects kids with first responders and like fire and rescue men to like give them experiences. It's like this whole thing, and it's for kids who are dealing with cancer and other illnesses. It's a really, really beautiful organization. There are so many community organizations that all of our teams work with. And so I do love the King Clancy Memorial Trophy. I think it's important to be highlighting these. And I think it's especially important for people like Dumba and Wilson to get an opportunity to present like, hey, yeah, I may do that shit on the ice, but it's because it's my job and you may not like the way I do it, but that's fine. But this is who I am off the ice. And so I think that that's a super important part of this. So.
Yeah.
I did just look up, so I had to add Tom Wilson to the 43 Fronts, but I didn't realize, and this is a couple of years old, but he created a burger to help raise money for central kitchens.
Yep.
Which is awesome. And it was 4 burgers, 3 sides, and no nonsense was the thing, but it was 43, the 43 burger.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
So yeah, like love
with stuff
everybody can take a drink, but love to hate Wilson too. But yeah.
Right. But he does a lot of stuff for the community.
Yeah.
Well, that's like Kevin Shattenkirk has everywhere he goes, he does a thing called Cancer Jam. And it's a fundraiser to help support whichever city he's working in, the local children's hospital, to help fund research for pediatric cancer. And I know he's
also a former Capitals player, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to throw that out there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Which he did this in the DC area as well. He's been doing his whole career.
It's the whole time.
But he's just such a kind human being.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis Boyd, also former Caps player. So Caps technically have like 3 people on the list, just,
even though only one's on the payroll.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well, who knows?
Better than
Maybe we're
still
still
paying for
some
Brian
of these people.
Suter when he's
Exactly.
that fucking shit talking his former team.
I should also say this is Wilson's second career nomination for the King Clancy Trophy. He was also nominated in 2019.
Okay.
Wow.
I was going to say probably 2021 with the 43 burger, but that wasn't it. I'm trying to find like a link. You'll maybe send me a link, because I'm intrigued to learn more about it. I'm not getting like that fucking organization stuff. I'm getting a lot of other random.
you are not.
Do not Google 43 friends. I'm just telling you guys. Just please don't.
Yeah.
By the way, to track back really fast to the comments I made about Rick DiPietro still being paid, New York Islanders are still paying him $1.5 million annually through the 2028-2029 season.
Jesus.
And
Christ.
he has
That's
not
so
played
much money.
since 2014. They signed him to like a 17-year contract.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Why would you sign a 17-year contract? Period.
Oh, I'm sorry, 15 years. But for some reason, it's still looping itself through because of the CBA.
Thank you.
The team bought his contract out in 2013, resulting in them having to pay him
it's
1.5 annually.
Not 43.
Yeah, sorry, it's 43's friends.
Yeah, do not Google 43 friends, you guys.
43 friends.
Don't do
It's
it.
43's
Don't recommend.
apostrophe S friends.
Uh-huh,
Spelled
uh-huh.
out, not
so
just the
fucking
numbers.
wild.
Yikes.
Yeah,
You do not
you might
get
want to
appropriate
bleach your
website.
Google browser, by the way.
Oh my god, that's so fucking funny. Yeah, clear your fucking
I have to
browser
save this other
history.
article.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because we need to
Too
discuss
funny.
that after.
I'm sorry for derailing that because that was a serious
No, but it's
thing.
very funny.
But that was too funny not to share.
Oh shit.
But yes, so and thankfully, hopefully, I mean, all of like obviously there's good and bad people on every team, and
Right.
obviously like the organizations are going to try to promote the players that want to do things for the community, and it's phenomenal no matter what team you play for or who you are on the ice. Like,
yeah,
you can't be too upset about it. But yeah, like definitely I'm getting now these feelings with Wilson and how people are very biased against Wilson now that we've had Dumba and Reeves and even Delorier to an extent, but like it's hard to hate Delorier, right? Like he's just such a sweetheart. But he's another big bruiser kind of a guy, and but we've definitely gotten a lot of hate because of Dumba and Foligno for that matter this year, but Foligno is also a decent dude, so
yeah.
and
And
he's good
also,
looking. He has amazing eyes.
Something that wasn't talked about at the time, but in 2018, when Wilson got his day with the cup, he partnered with the Toronto-based organization called Sick Kids Foundation to collect donations for the hospital, and then took the cup to like an event with kids so that they could play with the Stanley Cup on his fucking day.
Right.
Which is also like
instead of doing keg stands out of the Stanley Cup, he actually
which I mean he also did. Like don't
Oh yeah, no, like
he totally did that too. But it's one of
Right.
those things that like in addition to doing to doing that kind of stuff, he actually
he had
legitimately does care about
Right.
like his community.
Especially kids. So yeah, that's
Especially
always
kids.
good to see. Since we've been talking positive shit, let's talk about some naughty boys. We do just have one new suspension, and that was Cale Makar for the Avs. Did get suspended for one game for interference against Jared McCann. And that was back on the 24th, which I verified we did not talk about yet, but if we did, I apologize.
It wasn't it wasn't mentioned until the 25th. So we might not have
so that would have been post recording most likely.
Yeah.
And I think we may have mentioned that it had happened and we thought something was coming down the pike, but we didn't know what it was yet. And then a couple of fines. So we have on May 4th, Sam Bennett from the Panthers did get fined $5,000 for cross-checking Michael Bunting. May 7th, Thomas Tatar. I'm just going to say Tatar. I'm sure it's Tatar.
Yeah, it is Tatar.
But Tatar is funnier to me, so I'm going to go with that. But he got fined $5,000 also for high sticking Sebastian Aho. And then this happened back on the 17th of April, but didn't get laid into the fine wasn't submitted or whatever until May 8th. But the whole Vancouver Canucks team, talk about fucking the Canucks over, got fined again for violating the collective bargaining agreement between the NHL and NHLPA, $50,000 for holding practices in the postseason, right? Like they held practices on ice with some of the players in April, which is a no-no. So they got fined $50,000, which is a shit ton of money.
For real.
I mean, let's like look back. So we have, for team-wise, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs got fined $100,000 back in December for violating the collective bargaining agreement. No other like info was listed on that one, like what exactly had happened.
That one was for the travel during the
Oh yeah, during the holiday.
Sure. Yeah,
traveling
during the holiday season.
And then we had the Paul Maurice, like the inappropriate comments against officials during the post-game conference was fined $25,000. That's not really a team fine, but the head coach got fined.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise we've got the connect. So it's been an interesting year for fines as well.
It has.
Especially for like major fines like that. That's a shit ton of fucking money. This season alone, like in fines, has been $354,590.08 in fines alone.
Because we had Sheldon Keefe for demeaning conduct directed at the officials and Paul Maurice for inappropriate conduct directed at officials.
Oh, I didn't see
the
Panthers.
Sheldon. Yeah, that one was
that one.
That was the one where I think that was like that must have been the one where he did the 47 fuck yous that we all laughed about.
See that. Oh, wait, let me look.
It was back in December 27th or 28th when it was actually levied.
That one's not on this list at all.
Yeah, it is. On the Wikipedia, it is. We talked about it.
I know we talked about it. I don't see it literally on my Wikipedia list. I do not see that.
That's so weird.
Which is super funny. And like I said before, I'm sick. I may just be fucking missing it, but I don't see. Like, those are the only head coach and team fines that I saw. Oh, yeah, I found it. Okay, Sheldon Keefe.
Yeah,
demeaning conduct directed at the officials.
Highlighted, yeah.
Why did I fucking miss that? Because it was above, not below. That's why. It was out of order. The dates were out of order. But yeah, that's kind of funny. So yeah. But yeah, shit ton of money. I mean, at least that goes through the player assistance program. They're also in all of the suspensions, a total of $755,445.94 was forfeited.
So that's $1 million collectively, over $1 million.
Yeah, over $1 million collectively, which is great. I mean, and it's great to see players utilize that program. Obviously, we don't like seeing people get suspended and fined, but it's a part of hockey, so it's going to happen.
And I mean, at least if they are getting suspended and fined, I can't be mad at them having to pay that when it goes back into programs that some of these players have used or some of their teammates have used. But at least it's still benefiting the community at large to suspend them or fine them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. At least if you're going to get fined and suspended, at least it goes back into a positive thing, which I don't know. And maybe other professional sports do that. I'm not as familiar with other professional sports, but it's nice to see that it's not just like paying off the league and,
Right. It's not saying
going into advertising or something. Like, it goes directly back to the players in a sense. So,
yeah.
For injuries, for Carolina, we have Andre Kase is still out with that concussion. May return middle of May, so we may see him coming up here, hopefully. Antti Rantanen is nursing an illness, undetermined if he's going to be in Game 5. And then we have Teuvo Teravainen. Yeah, close enough. He did have surgery to repair his broken hand, maybe out until the middle of May. So we may also be seeing him come back if they continue on. For Dallas, we have Ty Dellandrea, we'll say, ailing from an illness, undetermined if he'll play in Game 4, which is tonight. So I don't know if he played. Miro Heiskanen had a facial laceration. Huh?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I read the wrong one. Never mind.
Oh.
As you are.
But Miro had that facial laceration. His status for Game 4 was unknown, so we don't know if he played tonight.
He's playing, actually.
Okay. So Miro played.
He's playing with a full mask.
Yeah. As he should.
Yeah, Ty is still out, though.
Yeah. Okay, Ty is still out. I refuse to watch any more Dallas games. No, honestly, I've been too sick to even care about staying up late enough to watch some of these hockey games because they're so late at night.
They're so friggin' late.
For Edmonton, we have Matthias Janmark is nursing an upper body injury, yet to be confirmed if he will play tomorrow night against the Golden Knights. Ryan Murray may be back mid-May. He was shuttled on that syphilis bus with a back injury.
Mm-hmm. Sure was.
For Florida, they still are missing Patrick Hornquist and Spencer Knight. That's nothing new. But Ryan Lomberg is sidelined with an upper body injury, may be back middle of May. So hopefully in the next week or two. For New Jersey, Ryan Graves is the only new one. Jonathan Bernier is still out. But Graves is dealing with an upper body ailment, may or may not be back Thursday for Game 5 against the Canes. Going to Seattle, we have Andre Brukowski, who I think talked about last time, but he is still on injured reserve after having surgery to repair lower body injury. Probably won't be back this playoff season.
Yeah.
And then Jared McCann is out due to an unknown injury. The severity is unknown. We don't know shit about Jared. Apparently, they're keeping it all. And then as of tonight, Daniel Sprong is managing an upper body ailment, will not be in Game 4, which was tonight.
Yeah.
For Toronto, we have Matthew Nyes. Say he is out with a concussion, may be back, or not to be back until middle of May. Bobby McCann is out indefinitely still. Victor Met was on long-term injured reserve list, maybe back middle of May. And Ilya I can't fucking say it.
Samsonov.
Thank you. There's too many S's for my brain to comprehend right now. He is out dealing with an upper body injury. He will not be back for Game 4 tomorrow. For Vegas, we have Laurent Brosiat.
Laurent Brossois.
Brossois.
Very French.
There should be it is, but there should be a
thing above it.
Then.
Yeah, they probably don't have the ability to do that through the CBC.
There should be.
I mean,
God damn it.
It wouldn't need one anyway.
Sports Network. It might though. Like I took for it. Well, maybe not. Anyway, dealing with a lower body injury, may or may not be playing tomorrow night, so he's questionable for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Logan Thompson may be back mid-May. They have 3 goalies out because
I don't even know who's in fucking net.
I don't know. Vegas. Yeah, I don't know how Vegas is still beating the pants off people, and they have 3 fucking goalies out. Like, good God.
Right. So,
crazy.
but yeah, Logan is still out with that lower body injury until middle of May. So yeah, but I mean, Leonard is nothing new. He's been out all season basically, but yeah. Laurent and Logan being out too definitely hurts. But yeah, that's it. That's all we have for injuries.
Brossois.
And as a final update, the Stars did beat the Kraken 6-3, so now that series is tied 2-2.
That's tied 2-2.
Brossois slated to play tomorrow.
We'll see.
He's
slated
to play. It's either him or Aiden Hill.
It's probably one of those things where it's a game time.
Oh yeah, decision. I mean it does say questionable for Wednesday, so
yeah. They have fucking wow. Good for Edmonton for being prepared. They have 4 goalies up.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like we brought up 2 more before we got knocked out.
Yeah.
Well, we brought up 1 and then he was out, but yeah.
Because they brought up Pickard and Rodriguez.
Yeah. But before we leave y'all, Chris, do you want to tell us about our obscure NHL Player of the Week?
You know, Chris. I will, in fact, tell you, this week, our obscure NHL Player of the Week is a man by the name of Dan Curry. Dan Curry was drafted 84th overall in 1986 by the Edmonton Oilers. This is the first player we've done that has not won a Stanley Cup.
Oh damn!
He actually didn't play any games with the Edmonton Oilers until the 1990-1991 season. He only played 5 games for them. His entire NHL career lasted 22 games. He played for the Oilers, the Kings, and that's it. His last NHL game was in 1994, where he played 5 games. 2 goals, 1 assist, 4 penalty minutes in his 22 games. But he played in AHL and the IHL. Lengthy career in the minors. AHL, he had 220 penalty minutes in 369 games.
Wow.
In the IHL, he had 232 penalty minutes in 379 games. My man had 41 PIMs in the fucking playoffs.
Yeah. He was like, I'm going to hit you, and I'm going to hit you, and I'm going to hit you for sure.
Basically.
I'm going to hit you twice, actually.
His his career as a junior all the way to his last game as a pro lasted from 1984 to 2006, where he finished out the rest of his career in the in Europe, different places in Europe. But yeah, it doesn't say what he's doing now. But he is 55 years old.
Hopefully he is not, beating people up anymore.
No, yeah,
Hopefully
because
you
my
get over
man,
that.
my man had some anger
Right.
issues. Just like
Yeah.
fuck.
Hopefully this has been addressed,
Right.
my friend.
But shout out to the Burlington, Ontario native, Dan Curry, as our obscure NHL player of the week.
Awesome.
Wonderful. What a good note to end
Thank
it
you.
on.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. And thank you guys all for hanging out with us yet again. We will make it through this playoff season, I promise you. Even though none of our teams are still in the playoffs, which hurts my
Only
soul.
one of our teams made it.
I
Yeah,
know.
true. Next year, guys. Next year.
Yeah.
For who?
We'll all have. For me,
Yeah, I
At
was
not
like,
least
for you, but
D.
we
for
ain't
me.
making
I
the
mean, I'm
fucking
sure we'll
playoffs
make
next year.
we'll probably make first round again, but God only knows if we'll make it past that. We've only made it
Yeah.
past the first round twice, I think.
Who
so.
knows? We
Wow.
might get fucked over for the number one pick again.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe Gary Bettman's listening to this and is going to change it. Maybe
Mr.
Right.
Bettman, if you're
Maybe.
listening,
Bettman,
fucking
please
fix
do
it.
better.
Gary
Bettman,
Bettman, if
you're
you're
better.
listening,
You're
you
better
suck.
than this.
And also,
better than this.
hi, by the way, if you're listening, hi.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But do
Also,
better.
come be on the show and let's have a dialogue about this. Let us help
Honestly,
Yeah,
you.
we'll stay.
yeah.
We'll fucking stay calm. I promise. I'll try my best not to cuss at you. Make no promises on that one though.
Make
Oh, I
zero
have
promises
like,
on that one.
I have plenty of like actual questions I've thought about that if I ever get
Oh,
a
I have
chance
so
to
many
like
questions
sit
to ask
down,
Bettman.
like genuine questions
yeah.
that I'm intrigued to learn about. You know.
Yeah.
No,
Absolutely.
why are you the fucking no? Like, I said, no,
Right,
D,
yeah.
you and I may have to compare questions because I feel like we might have some of the similar ones. But
we probably
no,
do.
I'd love to have Gary Bettman on. That'd be fucking awesome.
That would
Yeah.
be awesome.
Also, Tom Wilson, if you want
Yeah.
to come on the show, please. Let me
Oh yeah. Any
know.
member
I would
of
love
the
to
Wild
talk
team?
to you
Any
about
mem-
all of
yeah.
your charity stuff.
Absolutely. Like honestly, like
Kirill,
any
come on the
player,
show.
former player, like it would just be fun to have somebody on. You know what I
Jojo.
mean? Like
I'm just thinking of all the people that we both, that all of us like.
Can we
Right.
just get Zegras on because of just
Zegras,
his
come on the show.
personality alone?
Yeah.
right.
It's like you,
I also
Trevor.
have
We
so
don't
many
give a
questions for
yeah. We don't
Zegras.
give a fuck about hockey today, Trevor. Like, let's talk about first off the hair.
Right.
No.
But yeah,
Sonny
thank you
Milano,
guys.
we can talk to him about his hair. Sorry.
Sonny's
Anyway.
hair.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just starving.